No one was safe. There were some exceptions I can think. 5 boys and 3 girls who could have been put to death. Those were the very, very lucky ones.
So fucking lucky.
And that's
Just
William Bonin.
Living the rest of the life, traumatized out. Lucky. Wow.
6 and a bitch.
This is Jen.
This is Becky.
This is Too Close to Home. So this is William Bonin, part 2.
Two.
I'm excited. This is going to be disgusting.
It is. Once again, trigger warning, rape, molestation,
Mushroom
child
stamp.
molestation, murder, all the faves.
Exactly.
Mushroom stamp part 2. So we're going to pick up. We left with William Bonin's horrible childhood, adolescence, adulthood, his first arrest and time in prison. They cured him. He got out. Spoiler alert, he wasn't cured.
They couldn't fix him.
So we're going to start with William Bonin reconnecting with an old friend, Philip Gonzalez. Philip was in ASH, the mental hospital, with him. So they were having like a reunion, good times.
Just good times at the psychosexual unit.
Yeah. So he came to visit, and Bonin was like, you know what we should do? We should go pick up some little boys.
Oh!
And Gonzalez was like, okay, but when we pick up these little boys, what are we going to do if we get found in the same situation as before? And Bonin said, easy. We're not going to leave any witnesses.
Yeah, duh. We're going to kill them bitches.
Yeah.
They can't be witnessing from the grave.
So, let's go cruise the strip. So, while cruising for young boys on September 8th, 1975, at approximately 7 p.m., he encountered 14-year-old David Allen McVicker hitchhiking in the city of Garden Grove. McVicker accepted Bonin's ride to drive him to his parents' home in Huntington Beach. Shortly after McVicker entered Bonin's Opel Kadett, he asked him whether he'd engaged in homosexuality or was homosexual.
I'm starting to sense like a thing that's happening every time. Do you know what homosexuality is? Do you yourself like to practice homosexuality?
It's a theme.
It's a theme. It's a thing.
McVicker replied that he had not and asked to leave the vehicle, prompting Bonin to accelerate the vehicle. McVicker states that when he knew that Bonin wasn't going to stop, he tried to get a hold of the door handle and jump to leave the vehicle, but Bonin produced a gun and drove McVicker to a deserted field. When they stopped, Bonin stripped naked and ordered McVicker to undress. Bonin then forced McVicker to grab his penis while Bonin grabbed his. He then performed oral sex on the victim and forced the victim to perform the act on him as well. Bonin then began to rape the victim, who then began to cry hysterically. This caused Bonin to immediately cease his assault and apologized before reverting to casual conversation.
Yeah. So you ain't go.
Yeah.
What? You would literally just No.
He then masturbated into a rag before driving McVicker home. McVicker cried for several hours and told his mother, who promptly informed the Fountain Valley police of the incident. So it didn't take him long to go back to his old ways. Bonin continued the rampage when he ran into another young boy on September 10th at 3 p.m. Bonin pulled up beside a 15-year-old boy and solicited sex from the window and asked if he knew what it meant to be gay. And would he sell his body for $35? The young man yelled to get out of here and kept walking.
Get
out of now. At which time, Bonin ran his car up on a curb in an attempt to possibly hit him with the car. The young man was smart and looked at him and remembered the license plate, putting Bonin back in the spotlight of law enforcement. Bonin was arrested months later for the 2 assaults on October 10th, 1975. When arrested, he informed law enforcement, the next time, there won't be any more witnesses. He was then arrested and charged with the rape and forcible oral copulation of a minor. Anyone that's keeping record, we are now on the 2nd arrest for multiple sexual violent incidents on young boys. Just in case anybody's keeping count.
Also, obviously not cured.
Obviously not. Bonin pled guilty to both charges, and on December 31st, 1975, he was sentenced to 15 years imprisonment with a minimum of 6 months at the California Men's Colony. Now, this was a relatively safe prison versus state prison that he landed at and was tagged with the MDSO, offering him an easier place to serve his sentence. So basically, because of his previous mental health diagnosis, he got an easier prison versus like a regular one. Bonin was subject to further psychiatric examination. The results of his evaluation indicated he would benefit from therapy, and,
Maybe.
and he was deemed suitable for clinical treatment after release on parole.
Just all of them. He's minimal. It's
Well,
fine.
Also, in case anybody's not keeping track, obviously the treatment the first time worked.
Cured. Cured right up on that
I'm
curve.
sure it's going to work just as well the second time.
Perfect. He got the premier line this time.
During this incarceration, he had plenty of visits from his parents and his fiancée, Sarah.
Oh my God,
Sharon
that sounds
Nitz.
terrible.
He was still with the chick that had the mentally challenged kid, and she stayed with him while he got convicted of kidnapping and molesting young boys.
Oh my God.
Before 1976, California was committed to the idea that sentence should be indeterminate. They believe the length of imprisonment should depend more on the individual characteristics of the criminal than on the nature of the crime. So basically, let's say you go to prison for molesting children. Through interviews and therapy, they believe you will reoffend. They can continue to keep you incarcerated until they believe you're rehabilitated. So you get, 6 months to 15 years. They can keep you up to the 15 years if they think you ain't.
You cool yet?
Right.
You cool?
Right. No?
No.
All right. We
All
gonna
right,
keep you.
we'll do it a little bit longer. Well, I'll check with you later.
Exactly. But let's say they're like, man, this guy, we cured him. He didn't take but 6 months. Then they can let you go. This SB 42 Uniform Determinate Sentencing Act of 1976 greatly reduced penalties by giving good time credits, lessened periods of parole. This would also mean, regardless if you think someone will reoffend, when they finish their set number of years and condition of sentencing, they are released. So if you reach the maximum and they think you'll still reoffend, will you still get to get out? This would greatly affect Bonin's sentence. In August of 1977, Bonin gets a new attorney and has a sentence review on January 12, 1978. Over the previous year prior to this hearing, Bonin is taking shop classes, algebra, taking private psych appointments. They review his charges and set an amount of time for each charge. This time totals to 9 years and 8 months. Bonin then requests documents, hearing transcripts, and submits a written appeal that is highly lucid and well organized. He's able to cite mathematical errors and good time credits and knock total sentence down to 8 years and 4 months. During his incarceration, his father had 2 major strokes. Bonin then requests early release to help his mother take care of his father, along with stating his good behavior and his 2,400 hours of vocational training and exercise. As a result of being such a good boy, Bonin was released from detention October 11th, 1978, albeit with 12 months of supervised probation. So this, again, is where you see how he really learns how to manipulate the system.
We're going to let you out, but it's supervised. Yeah, guys. It's fine. It's fine.
12 months.
For just 12 months.
Yeah.
That's it.
Bonin returned to his parents' home and started working at Freight Movers, driving a delivery truck and attending his court-mandated weekly therapy sessions. On November 1st, 1978...
Oh, God, I would have hated to been his therapist. Could you imagine this shit? Because he's already, pretty blunt and be like, y'all should not let me out. I am fucking crazy, okay?
It'd be slight terrifying, but then again, it'd be like, well, I don't have to listen to somebody talk about their poor little, I'm a home wife, I'm so bored. I mean, this is going to be some good shit I'm about to listen to. This next hour's going to
See, that's coming from the true crime folks. I hear
Exactly.
I'm down. I would totally listen to that shit.
I'm so tired of hearing these housewives talk about, woe is me. We're about to hear some good shit. Albeit, I'm going to be frightened and probably have nightmares when I get home. But this next hour of work is going to fly.
Exactly.
I wonder if he's okay if I eat my lunch while I listen to him.
I don't think I've ever had to stop eating lunch while listening to stuff, unless it was Game of Thrones, because I listen to that, and it'll be like a very uncomfortably long sex scene. I'm like, what are we even doing? Good God.
That's enough of that.
I'll be by myself. It's not even because people are with me. I'm like,
Yeah. Caca.
Caca.
On November 1st, 1978, Bonin moved into his own apartment at Kingswood Village. He quickly made a new friend, Scott Frazier, with whom Bonin would find parties, sexual partners, and murder accomplices.
Oh, BFF.
Scott's place was an apartment in the complex that was party central. There were a wide variety of young people and many homosexual men at the endless parties.
Do you think that was his come on line, like walking around these parties going like, hey, are you a homosexual? Do you know what homosexuality is?
You do. Right.
God.
Frazier also ran a drug business out of his apartment, so there was always quite the mix of people around.
Oh, I bet.
Bonin spent 3 to 4 nights a week with Fraser and became social friends. Bonin also joined a bowling league and met a man named Neil Mendez, whom was also homosexual. Another new friend to the circle was Vernon Butts. Fraser met him after seeing him perform.
Listen, if my last name was Butts, as soon as I could, I would be changing that shit.
I don't know. I think I would kind of go with it.
Becky Butts.
Especially because Fraser met him after seeing him perform a magic show. He's a magic man, and his name is Butts.
Some magic butts.
You got quite the variety of people here. You got the drug
I said
dealer.
you have a fucking magician. I was not seeing that coming.
You got the convicted pedophile.
I thought you were going to say, like, he's a serial killer or he's an autoerotic asphyxiation. No. He literally... why did I forget what that word was? My brain just went...
Magic?
Yeah. He's a mug and magician.
Vernon worked at Knott's Berry Amusement Park and performed amateur magic shows. He believed strongly in black magic and belonged to a satanic cult with his girlfriend. They actively participated in pagan religious rituals and visited the graveyard to speak to the dead. I'm here for that.
Listen, I want to speak the dead too, but I don't know if I'm ready for the dead to speak back to me.
I don't know. I'd probably run.
I'd be like, it ain't gonna happen. I'm not that special. Oh, fuck.
He also had an intense interest in D&D. That's for you boys over there.
I'm saying there's two right there. Military, Army, D&D. Jimmy?
There was a huge, long bit of the book that went into D&D and like how much in that time.
You're like, oh my God, it's like listening to JJ.
They associate D&D with like murderers and like all this weird shit. And I was like, okay, I'm going to leave all that out because that is so the opposite. Like, so the opposite.
They've never seen D&D in real life then, because then you have two guys
Girl,
going.
right? Girl, right.
I'm going to cast a healing potion. Rolls 1. All right. I'm going to hit you over the head with a bottle. And everybody roars laughing. Two of them at least are probably wearing capes.
Or Gryffindor robes. Not saying that my husband has one in the closet. Or I.
He's proud, okay? He's a proud Gryffindor.
He is. Got the scarf and everything. And the wand. Sorry, ladies.
You're a wizard, JJ.
He's all mine, ladies.
Keep them panties up.
Vernon Butts was obsessed with death.
You have a wet run after that.
Right? Vernon Butts was obsessed with death, to say the least. He was in various cults that would meet in sewers and cemeteries. Another one of his favorite activities was hosting mystery parties, which I'm kind of here for.
I'm the same.
But these parties, well, I'm here for it in the beginning. These parties were similar to a game of Clue, except he would hide the clues throughout the city, and the commonly hid objects were usually objects that were used to kill someone with, such as an ice pick or a hairpin.
What? A hairpin? Like, what kind of hairpins was like the...
Like the... back in the 60s.
No. I ain't never had a hairpin like that. I should get one, though.
You should. What? What was that? Pull your hairpin out?
Don't mind me, just fixing my hair.
Fraser, Bonin, and Mendez all participated in these games. Like, aside from all of them being...
sexual predators and all.
It sounds fun.
Yeah. Just leave out the sexual predators. Count me in.
Exactly.
We've done an escape room. You remember that?
Exactly. It was a good time.
I'll never forget how horrified everybody was of the well in the back. All of us, as adults, knowing good and goddamn well it's somebody fucking with us, but none of us was going to go over there. Go open it. You go open it.
Not doing it. Nope. But who was openly bisexual eventually became a willing lover to Bonin. He described Bonin as very dominant, but also very passionate. Butt's apartment garage was decorated with a coffin against the wall and another one for sleeping in at night.
I mean, I like that decor too.
In April 1979, another Fraser came into the group, Blaine Fraser. Blaine had also learned about Bonin and how he liked young boys and cruising looking for prospects. While driving around one day, Bonin seen a young man and asked Blaine if he was interested in picking him up. Blaine stated, as long as you drop me off before doing anything. Girl, right? His attempt to pick him up was unsuccessful, but Bonin's appetite for young men had not changed, and this is our first look into him having.
You're telling me that he's
others
not
around.
cured?
He's not. I'm sorry, spoiler
Oh
alert.
my God. I thought he was cured this whole time.
I know. He's not, sadly. In April of 1979, Bonin and his young brother Paul took out a loan from their mother to purchase the Alpine Rest and Bar in Silverado. The deal fell through, but Bonin remained in Silverado and got a job with the plumbing company. Near the end of July, Bonin purchased a 1972 Ford E100 Shorty van that would later become infamous and dubbed the Death Van by Bonin himself.
Wow, that's cute. That's real catchy. I hope that looks adorable. Probably has curtains or something.
Oh, just like you see into the future.
Damn it.
It was green in color with green carpet, wood paneling, and curtains over the window.
God damn it.
And behind the front seats, preventing the view from the windshield to the back. So there was curtains behind the front too.
Yeah, ultra private.
Yeah. Most people would use it as like a shaggin' wagon, you know.
Well, I mean, he kind of did.
No, you know,
A non-consensual shagging wagon.
You are correct. You are correct.
That's a shagging wagon of horror.
And with the release from prison the previous year, new friends, new town, and now new vehicle come a new Bonin.
I'm a new man. I'm cured. All it took was a new van of curtains.
That's it. The beginning of the murders.
Dun,
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 dun.
dun.
Ain't gonna be no witnesses.
No witness.
Not a damn one.
Some detectives believe Bonin killing started earlier than August of 1979 and that his true victim number is well over 40.
Oof.
Yeah. According to the author of the book I used for the majority of my research, she believed Vernon Butts was the spark to the beginning of the killings with Bonin. She did hours of interviews with him and read his diaries. That
Butt and sparks in the same sentence. Never thought that would ever happen.
Right? I'm always there to surprise you.
With the butt sparks.
The freeway killer cases, as came to be known in March of 1980. The cases began with a 17-year-old boy found strangled on the shoulder of the Terminal Island Freeway in San Pedro, California. I know I just stated Bonin didn't start killing until August 1980, but just go with me and it'll work itself out. Over time, many victims were found and labeled as homosexually oriented due to sex, age, being raped, and manner of death. The first
Probably made them ones they weren't going to really try to solve real quick.
Yeah. The first murder that he is thought to have committed, but was not convicted of, was that of 13-year-old Thomas Glenn Lundergren. Thomas,
baby.
Yeah. He was last seen riding his skateboard in front of his parents' home in Resenda on May 28, 1979. Shortly before his abduction, he had told friends that a man had offered to meet him at the skate park to take photos of him for a skateboarding magazine. His body clad only...
And what have we learned? If somebody comes up to you in the middle of nowhere and says, I'm a photographer, they're most definitely a serial killer.
Most definitely. But we learned this. This was 79, different time. His body clad only in a t-shirt. His shoes were found in a tree approximately 10 feet away from his body, along with his shorts, underwear, and socks were found the same afternoon in Angora. The autopsy revealed that Thomas had suffered emasculation. His penis and scrotum had been cut off. Extensive bludgeoning from an object like a tire jack handle to his face and head, with his skull sustaining multiple fractures. In addition, the youth had been slashed across the throat, extensively stabbed about the chest and stomach, and strangled to death. His severed genitals, bearing several bite marks, were discovered strewn in a field about 2 feet away from his body. His cause of death was severed...
JJ's face like, oh, fuck.
His cause of death was several carotid arteries and larynx, which extended nearly to the back of his throat.
Oh, God. This was after the rape. So this is just to make him not a witness, or do you think he emotionally just spazzed out? Because that's a lot of damage.
It seems to be a theme. So you'll hear what some of his take on them are.
Oh, I can't wait.
An expert later postulated that Bonin's brutality was likely an attempt to kill his homosexual attraction, further silencing his desire with each stabbing. In the abduction and murder of Thomas Bonin was assisted by Butts, suspected of accompanying or assisting Bonin on at least 8 further murders attributed to the freeway killer. When Thomas's father was later asked to identify his son in court, his son's amputated genitals were on display where his father stood.
Are you fucking kidding me? That is awful.
Could you imagine?
Like, you don't have to, like, it's one thing to even have pictures.
Yeah.
But to have the actual, oh my God.
Yeah.
That was a human being.
So on Saturday, August 4th, 1979, Bonin decided to meet up with Butts after flaking out on him several times in the last 2 months. Bonin called him up and asked him to a drive-in movie and a part to show off his new van. Bonin later writes in his diaries, "I had no idea how the night would end." He picked up Butts and they headed...
I'm sure he had an idea.
Right? And they headed to Highway 33 Drive-In for a double feature. They laid in the back and they caught up on life. Then in casual conversation, as we all do, they began talking about picking up a guy to have sex with and killing him.
Oh, yeah. Just, coffee talk.
Yeah. Bonin says he was just sort of joking at the time, but Byrne thought it was a neat idea. He said he'd always wanted to know what it was like to kill someone using an ice pick and putting it into his ear. They continued the conversation until they both stated they were serious and that they could handle actually killing someone. They left right then. Bonin drove to an area where he had frequently seen hitchhikers. When Bonin seen 2 hitchhikers, he again asked Butts if he was serious, and he replied with, "Sure, let's do this." Bonin pulled up and asked 17-year-old Mark Sheldon if he needed a ride. He said sure and hopped willingly into the van. Bonin then straight asked him if he'd ever gotten head from a man. Bonin then offered Mark Sheldon $400 for sexual services. Sheldon agreed, and Bonin headed to the desolate mountains of the KO Pass. According to Bonin, he masturbated Sheldon in the front seat between him and Butts. Butts then squeezing his genitalia, prompting the boy to scream. I don't know what's up with all the squeezing of the genitalia.
It's just me. I'm not even a man. I don't have that kind of genitalia, but it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. As Bonin drove into the
How's it
KO
make you guys
Pass-
feel? Does it make you feel good? No? Jimmy, shut the fuck up.
I hate
Nobody
you.
likes you. Oh, God damn it.
Anywho, as they drove into the pass in the San Bernardino
That's the autism
County,
that comes. I'm so sorry. I'm going to apologize now.
Butts entertained the boy with magic tricks in the back of the van. Reaching an abandoned gas station, Bonin parked the vehicle and coaxed Sheldon inside where they began to make out and fondle each other. Bonin then had Sheldon orally copulate him and then endure rape. Engaged with Sheldon's fear and resistance, Bonin immediately beat the youth, squeezing his genitalia again, and driving his knee into his face until he lost consciousness. Sheldon was then twice strangled with his own long-sleeve shirt twisted with a tire iron over a 15-minute period with Butts' assistance. They then drove to a deserted road and put his body in the bushes. Butts then stated he really wanted to do the ice pick thing. They didn't have one, so they found an old rusty wire in some bushes, and Butts pushed the wire as hard as he could into Shelton's ear. They stated they still weren't sure if he were dead or not. So Bonin found a tree branch and inserted it into his rectum.
That's how I check if Jimmy's dead too.
Right?
Just
That's how I check if
rectum.
JJ's sleeping.
Rectum. Damn near killed him.
He said he didn't move now, so they were sure he was dead and they could relax.
Oh, God.
In later written confessions, Bonin stated on the way home they were laughing as they thought they had gotten away with it. He later said, "No one was safe. There were no exceptions I can think of. 5 boys and 3 girls who could have been put to death. They were the very, very lucky ones." Shelton's body was found on August 11th by a hiker. According to the Orange County Register, his body was so ravaged by the elements and animals, he wasn't recognizable. His parents would not learn of his whereabouts until April 1980. Only 1 day later, on August 5th, Bonin returns to the streets to claim his second victim. In later interviews, he stated he felt a new power after the first murder. He states he didn't go out driving with the intention of killing, just driving to calm his nerves due to being so jumpy from the previous night's events.
I do the same thing. I'll go out just for a drive, just to clear the mind.
Yeah.
Before I know it, there's a dead body right in front of me.
And I'm like, how'd that happen?
Whoops.
Oopsie.
Good God.
Marcus Grabs was Bonin's second victim and the first one he confessed to killing alone. Grabs had left Germany in February of 1979 with the intention of traveling the world. On August 2nd, he was hitchhiking and Bonin picked him up. He asked him once again if he was gay and said he smiled and climbed in the front with Bonin.
Oh, man.
Yeah. They went to the beach and parked between two campers and engaged in oral sex. Bonin then wanted to try some bondage and found some electric wire and hooked him up. He said that Grabs didn't object. He then stated running his buck knife up and down his back. He said he started telling him, "I could kill you." The man sat up, and then Bonin put the knife to his throat and said, "I should just cut you." He said the man started to get scared. Shocking, right?
No. What? The buck knife on the back didn't do it for you? Jesus Christ.
He said the man got scared, so he backed off so he could enjoy him some more.
I don't think you can come back from that.
After having sex, Bonin reached around and squeezed his genitals. I don't understand it. I don't know. He said the man broke free and attempted to punch him, so Bonin had no choice but to protect himself. He said he landed one punch on him, causing Bonin to fall and hit his head. Bonin then just started stabbed him in his upper arms. He said he screamed, and Bonin just started stabbing him wildly all over. He said the kids started asking Bonin to take him to the hospital, so he told him, sure, yeah, I will. Sure. Just sit down and be quiet. I got you. But that his whining was actually really getting on his nerves. He drove him out to Malibu Canyon and drug him out of the van, wrapped him up in a blanket. The boy was still alive this whole time, asking for him to take him to the hospital. He then turned him on his stomach and began strangling him. After 2 failed attempts to strangle him, he was forced to use the knife again. He said that when he was done, he needed to make sure that he was dead, so he rammed his fist all the way up his rectum.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He's a fucking something else, man.
Like, where you could just take a mirror to their nose. You don't have to put something up their butt every time. Jesus Christ.
During his sessions where he told every detail, he never showed an ounce of remorse or guilt. After he was done with the murder and hiding the body in some brush, it was about 10. He drove home, but was unable to stop for gas because he was covered in blood. He became stranded on the side of the road, even having a cop pass him once. Finally, someone stopped and gave Bonin a ride to the store for some gas. He said people were looking at him funny because, his pants were covered in blood.
Oh, God.
He said he then told them he was painting a house, but then went to Butt's house where they cleaned the van and shared the story over Pepsi. The body was discovered.
All the heartwarming stories are shared over Pepsi.
They really are. It should be a Pepsi ad.
Yeah, really.
The body was discovered the following Monday, and the autopsy revealed over 70 stab wounds and extensive damage to his rectum consistent with Bonin's statement. During his trial, he was asked if he made the statement that the stab wounds were done in a frenzy, to which he replied, yeah.
How else does one stab?
Right. When asked what he meant by that, Bonin stated, I can only liken it to the mind to a rabid dog that has gone insane and does not know when to stop biting.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Call it overkill.
Marcus Grabs was an unfortunate victim at the front of a 10-month horror show. So Bonin's third arrest and immediate release came 5 days after killing his first 2 victims. Killing his first 2 victims 80 miles apart in different law enforcement jurisdictions, Bonin was back at it in Orange County. So, of course, we all know back in the 70s, everything was like paper. So when you killed in these different jurisdictions, it just took longer for you to get caught because they have to actually pick up a phone to call each other. It's not like a national database like there is now where the shit just pops up.
The database was a file room and shit got fucked up.
Yes.
You had all these people working for local governments, probably making below minimum wage. I ain't going to file shit right. I'm going to file it in, file number 22, which is the trash can.
Well, and there was no autocorrect.
No autocorrect. It's called whiteout.
Yes.
Man, it's like a memory lane here. Remember when phones had cords and stuff?
Oh, I know. On August 9th, 1979, Bonin went cruising around in his van and found someone willing to enter the horror show on wheels. But luckily, a police officer happened upon the scene. According to the charge sheet from Deputy Duncan, Mr. Bonin was arrested for sex perversion. Officer Duncan had observed a van in a parking lot of a school, and the van was moving slightly. So, in your mind, if this van's rocking, don't come and knock it.
You definitely don't want to knock on that van.
Bonin was in the van with a 17-year-old male. Bonin had offered the young man a ride to a friend's house. Shortly after entering the van, he reached over and began fondling the boy. The boy told him, "I don't get into this," and pushed his hand away. Bonin then pulled into the school parking lot and started fondling the boy and asked, "Can't you just get hard for me?"
I don't know.
I know.
A gruff man's voice. "Can't you get hard for me?"
Right?
No, sir, I cannot.
As a matter of fact, it introverted and went back up inside.
It's now an any. You thought that only applied to belly buttons? It also applies to this dick.
Exactly, in this situation.
And I get that he was a good-looking guy, but, like, you ever, like, see somebody who's really good-looking and then you see them in their real true light, like their real colors when they're doing something and they become the most horrific person possible?
Well,
just like me, Jimmy.
And you can look at someone and be like, "Oh, they look okay," and then you get in their presence and they give you that hair on the back of your neck stand up. And I wonder if it was like that around him. Obviously not, though, because he convinced a lot of people to get into that fucking van.
Ted Bundy was the same way, and they said he was a looker. I guess they had different standards in the 70s, but
they did. There was no Invisalign.
No.
There was.
Oh my God, we are the same wavelength because I was just thinking about his teeth. I was like, he has some crooked ass teeth and shit.
We got a babe.
He was Republican. It was real popular back in those days.
It was. It still sort of is. At some point, he convinced the boy to get into the back of the vehicle, at which point Bonin pulled his own pants down and then offered the boy a blowjob. The boy again told him, "I'm not into this." Bonin pulled the boy's pants down and began to perform oral sex on him. This is when the patrol unit arrived. That's when he arrived. He was with a kid, so he got arrested for the sex perversion.
You know what makes this? Is that your shirt says, "I'm a nervous Rex." So all I'm seeing is that dinosaur from Toy Story in the front seat going like, "Oh, please."
It's probably what the kid in the back of the van was doing.
Yeah, exactly. Please stop. Oh my gosh, guys, I can't.
On August 13th, just 4 days after he was arrested, Bonin was released from custody. Bonin was set to appear for a disposition hearing on August 24th. While he was awaiting this hearing about the sex perversion, they were also going to see if he was going to face parole violations because, remember, he was on parole. But fear not, all of this did not stop him from killing. He continued on.
You know what? That's called the grind. You just keep grinding, you know?
A parole report dated August 23rd stated that further jail time would not serve any purpose.
Because he's cured.
Yes, exactly. It went on to state that he had been in a relationship, had a job, and complied with everything they had asked to do. It also stated there is always a chance for behavior like this. So once again, the good old motto, boys will be boys.
No.
A parole revocation hearing decision was set for September 18th to decide whether or not to vacate his parole. While these hearings and decisions took place, Bonin participated in the murders of Robert Wiersek on 8/20, Donald Hayden on 8/27, and David Murillo on 9/9. So he wasn't slowing down at all.
If anything, a speed up.
Yeah. 10 days after the murder of Marcus, Bonin decided he needed to create an excuse for the murder.
Like, now you do?
Well, and
now?
As I was reading this in the book, I'm thinking to myself, I don't even understand where he has the idea he needs to create an excuse because nobody even knows that he did it. And so,
unless he wants to relive it or something and he just wants to be a part of that, like sometimes they'll put themselves back in investigation, but that doesn't make any sense. Like,
no, it really doesn't. I had to read it like 2 times because I was like, I'm really like confused here.
That's it's a sick mind, you know?
And so,
let me make some real logic here. It's just like, what was that guy who thought he was a vampire in California? And he was like, if the door was unlocked, I was meant to come in. Like, what?
Oh,
insane
okay.
people logic?
Okay.
Listen, if it's not locked, they obviously are inviting me in. As
Right?
vampires are wont to do. You know what I mean?
I know that's why I leave mine unlocked.
Jesus Christ. I know good and goddamn well you ain't leaving your shit unlocked.
Oh, no. And I set the alarm last night while JJ was gone.
Ah.
Bonin had become good friends with Scott Fraser. On 8/17, Bonin picked up Fraser and took him to the Magic Cork restaurant. I don't know what the Magic Cork restaurant is, but it sounds fun, and I'm here for it.
The Magic Cork. It'd be like a terrible version of Chuck E. Cheese. But everybody gets wine. The Magic Cork! Let's throw some LSD in there, too. Why not?
I'm here for it.
It's magical.
Not the LSD. Do not want to be tripping and seeing things. No, thank you. I don't want to know what this mind, the things it lets me see are bad enough.
You're like, no.
The things that I'm not seeing, I've tucked away. I don't need those released.
I've already created a lot of visuals I regret in my lifetime, and I don't want to create more.
Same. So very same.
Because you imagine that's when they're going to pull their dicks out. Oh, no. The last thing I want to be is tripping on a dick.
Exactly what they want.
Look, there's 30 of them, and they all have eyeballs.
So Bonin came right out and said, Scott, I think I killed a man. I think I killed a man? Okay. Carry on. I'm going to pretend like this is the first time I'm hearing it.
Mama, I killed a man. I think I did.
We're always here for Jennifer's musical
The serial killer
talents.
that thought he could.
So he laid out a story, omitting many truths, detailing what happened, but stating it was self-defense. He decided to include Vernon Butts in the story, even though he was not actually involved in this murder. He said he'd picked up Marcus. He basically told like the same thing. I picked him up. We were fooling around. But instead of saying like, I just like killed a motherfucker, he said he was like playing with the knife with him and the guy got scared. And so he went to attack him. So then he had no choice but to kill him. He said Marcus got scared, lashed out at him, and he had to defend himself. Fraser did not seem to be shocked. He asked some questions and was sympathetic and supportive. He said, you had to defend yourself, Bill. He was going to kill you. They went back to Fraser's apartment and looked through old issues of the Los Angeles Times to find the story about the boy. So I think he just wanted to gloat about what he did.
Yeah.
And he said he was going to use Fraser as an alibi. And I'm like, telling him the story and telling him what you did is not using him as an alibi.
No.
You just wanted to brag about your story, but he kept saying like he just wanted it so someone else could be like, he had to do it. It was self-defense. He wasn't even fucking there. So
yeah, like, no.
Yeah. I think he just wanted to brag about it.
That's much more plausible. Yeah.
Just a girl doing a podcast with her best friend. Bonin
just
and
a
Butts,
doctorate of cryptozoology.
I will be soon.
You will be. We're going to bring up that $0.00 to $0.01.
Bonin and Butts' second victim was Robert Wirasek on August 20th. Robert was hitchhiking when he was picked up. They were supposed to drop him off at Ralph's Market where he worked, but instead they parked 2 parking lots down and proceeded to hog tie him at knife point.
But you know what drives me crazy about hitchhikers back in the day? Like, I got to go to work. Time for me to hitchhike. That's a very fast and loose time frame. You have to be I'm not victim blaming. Let's start off there.
Right.
No. Okay. Already vomiting about this. But I'm not going to be like, you know what? Let's see per chance if I can make it to work on time. Like, what?
These people were brave because no thank you.
I thought about it.
I don't have a ride.
There's this woman that walks. I was taking Camilla every day and I'd see her walking that way on the highway and towards Camilla's school. And I'm like, and she's wearing very obviously a fast food uniform. And I'm like, oh, I feel bad for this girl. One day I should offer. I'm like, wait a second. No, that's how they get you. The women are decoys.
Exactly. And then something happens to her. You have her fingerprints in your car. How do you explain that, Jennifer?
Exactly. I wouldn't be able to. You'd have to be putting money on my books. So I would not be somebody's bitch. I'd have to buy everybody
honey buns every day. Honey bun time. Jennifer goes around with the cart handing everybody their honey buns so they don't rape her.
Just so you don't leave me. Just leave me alone. Here's your honey bun. If you're good, you might get 2. Depends on what Becky puts on my books. It is close to Christmas.
No, I told you the key to survival is You find the biggest, baddest bitch that's running things, and you just be her bitch.
You just be her bitch.
Because
I thought you were telling me about to fight her. I'm like, no.
No. Because if I'm going to have to perform sexual acts on an inmate, I would prefer to just do it on one. So I'm going to fucking just make her eyes roll in the back of her head, like blow her mind, and then she'll protect me.
You know what a woman wants.
No, exactly. Then nobody will mess with me because I'm her bitch.
You're
so,
like,
you know
who's
what?
Who's that little girl right there? That's Becky. That's Big Bertha's.
Exactly.
Girl, you better leave her. Don't
alone.
even fucking look at her. She will take a spork to your eyeballs.
Exactly. I don't want to be passed around the yard and be everybody's bitch. I would rather just be Big Bertha's bitch. See it how you see it. That's my game plan if I ever go to prison.
Or you'd be like that girl that you were talking about in jail. She's just sitting there.
Exactly.
Staring. Everyone's like, I'm just fucking scared of her, man.
Exactly. That's the plan. Either Big Bertha's or just like
crazy.
But
full ass crazy.
It'd be hard for me to stand for hours and not talk. So
oh gosh, same.
Sounds like Big Bertha's the way I'm gonna have to go.
That's why that movie was like Quiet Place or whatever. It's the aliens that listen to us. I'd be dead.
Oh,
30 seconds in, baby.
Yeah. And Emma would already kill us too because she wouldn't understand the concept of being quiet.
Am I quiet now? Is this how this works?
Was I quiet long enough? And then it busts through the door and eats us all. So, or whatever it did. I never watched that.
R.I.P. R.I.P. R.I.P.
So, per Bonin, the boy would only accept $20 for oral sex. But Bonin stated he wanted.
Wait, he said he'd only. Like,
so supposedly
no more.
Well, supposedly he was like, I'll give you $20 for oral sex. And the kid was like, all right, cool. But keep in mind, when he's saying $20 for oral sex, he's paying them to let him suck their dick.
Oh, okay.
And I don't really understand.
That's very weird then. Like, listen, I feel dirty about this already. You could only suck my dick for $20. That's it.
Both of our husbands bought us a home and I still don't want to.
This mouth's for eating, baby. And it ain't ass.
Paying anybody to do it.
No.
You know what, JJ? Here's $20. You let me take you in the bedroom and suck your dick. He said, I'll let you do it for free.
Please touch it, please. He's so lonely.
So I don't know, but I don't understand why they wanted to perform the oral sex. I don't know. Neither here nor there, but just thought it was
We're not here to kink shame.
No. Just don't know. Don't get it. Bonin wanted to have sex with him, and kid was like, no, you can just suck my dick.
It's not homosexual if you just suck my dick one time.
Oh, you know what? Maybe that was the thought process. I don't know. So Bonin stated during his police interview he didn't intend to kill him to begin with, but when he was unable to reach sexual climax, that is when he decided he would kill him. So he had said, like, when I take these guys, if they let me have sex with them and I reach sexual climax, then it like takes it all out of me and I don't even have the energy to kill him. So I let them go. But if they don't let me.
So not only is this man killing these people, but he is also blaming them for being terrible lays.
Yes.
Like adding insult to injury. I'm like, you might as well let me die on a toilet. Go out of a side. How'd she die? Shitting.
Exactly.
As always. Shit's coming out this way or shit's coming out that way.
One or the other. During the interview, he talks about another 16-year-old boy he had picked up, but since he was able to climax, he didn't have it in him to kill him and he let him go. But during his written confession, he states that the boy agreed to let Bonin give him head for $50, but then Bonin pulled a knife on him and raped him. After which he tied the kid up in the back and he called Vernon Butts. He drove to Butts' house with the boy tied up in the back. They picked Butts up and they drove around taking turns in the back of the van, hitting him and performing sexual acts on him. Then Bonin asked Butts while he's driving if he wanted to hear the kid scream, to which Butts said, yeah, do the finger trick.
Oh, no.
This was something they had discussed in the past about breaking the victim's fingers.
Oh, no.
Bonin, it's so funny when I was writing this, I was like, Jennifer's going to be like, oh my God. Bonin then grabbed his pinky and yanked it back until he broke it.
No, I don't like it.
Bonin then pushed multiple fingers back, but didn't break any more of them, just enough to torture him. He again then proceeded to grab the victim's genitals and squeeze. He then rolled the victim.
This is the worst recipe ever.
I know. He then rolled the victim over and hit him in the head with the tire iron as hard as he could. He told the victim they weren't going to let him go, but they would make sure that he was unconscious when they killed him.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
That poor kid. Like, could you imagine, like, He goes in. He's going to consent to this, which is probably something he doesn't really want to consent to.
I don't even think he consented. I think they just
They
said
made
that
it up.
to, yeah.
And then you're just going to go, and this poor kid, like, it's just plain torture.
Yeah, and then tell him, we're going to kill you. But don't worry, we'll knock you out first. Although I will say that is like, I'd be like, okay, at least I won't be awake when you do it. That's my thought process.
Listen, they'd have us for a grand total of 5, but it's like, we just gonna have to shoot these bitches. They won't shut the fuck up.
They then gave him the choice of choking him out until he went unconscious or hitting him over the head until he went unconscious. So which one do you want us to do? Which one would you pick, Jennifer? Being choked out till you're unconscious or hit over the head until you're unconscious?
I would like to go with C, neither.
That's not
but
a
if
choice,
I
ma'am.
had to, rather choke me out, because at least that's kind of more of a sure thing versus you can hit somebody in the head and might not knock them out. Like, yeah, how many times you gonna have to hit me in the head with a tire iron? No.
See, I would pick being hit over the head because I don't want to slowly sit there and feel my breath escaping me and just sitting there going, when is this going to be over? When am I going to be? Just fucking hit me a couple times. Pow, pow, pow. Eventually, one of those quick succession pows is going to knock me out.
I'd be like, can you do a practice swing to the side of the van so I have the confidence to go do it in a one-shot deal? Because I don't want to live through this.
I figure after the first hit, you're going to be so like seeing stars, you're not really going to know what's going on.
I mean, do I ever know what's going on?
Every ounce of breath come out of me. And they weren't good at choking people, FYI.
Oh, that's true.
Because they had to choke them multiple times to kill victims.
I was like, people, like, what was this? That one serial killer is like, he didn't realize how hard it was to choke people out and how tiring. Yes, oh, I'm so sorry. It was so difficult for you to murder this person.
That's what they say too. And it's like, oh, well, your wee little arms getting tired.
Little Team Wix.
He said the victim said, I don't know. So Bonin just hit him with the tire iron.
Oh, well, you would have got what you wanted if you were in that scenario.
When that didn't work, as Jennifer said.
Ah, God damn it. Of course it wouldn't work. I knew it.
He began to choke him using his shirt with the tire iron wrapped in it to tighten
like a tourniquet. Oh, no.
As the victim struggled, Bonin said, struggle, baby. It'll only make your death come faster.
That's when I would make a very, if I wasn't being choked, making a judgmental face at him like, baby?
Yeah. Now I'm mad. Now I'm going to really
fucking furious. First of all, your little T-Rex arms can't even do the justice of knocking me out in one go. Now you going to tourniquet me and call me your baby? I'm rolling my eyes so far back.
So far back. The next victim came only 6 days later on August 26th. During a break at work, Bonin phoned Vern Butts and asked him, do you want to go hunting? So Butts got all excited and was like, yeah, let's do it. And in the book, it talks about all day he was like all hyped up and he kept looking at his watch. And at one point, his boss was like, you waiting to catch a train? Because he kept looking at his time. And he was like, no, I got a hot date. And how Bonin thought to himself, it was so funny that his boss had no idea what he was really going to do when he got off. So he really got off on that kind of thing.
I mean, do we ever really know what people do when they leave work? I'm not going to find out.
No, same.
This is why you don't fraternize with coworkers. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. To my coworkers, former coworkers that actually listen to this.
Their next victim was Donald Hayden, and he was lured in the van with the promise of $50 for oral sex. When the boy went to get in the back of the van, he seen Byrne because Butts was laying down in the back of the van, and he started getting nervous.
How was he laying, like one of his French girls?
Like that.
She's pointing at Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park where he's got the wound and he's got obviously glistening pecs and abs from sweat, but it was probably Evian mist.
Right? That's how he was laying back there. Exactly. If that wouldn't make you uncomfortable with Vernon Butts, the magic show performing.
You get that and a magic show?
Or is that what we're about to do, the magic show?
Oh, God. Don't bring the magic.
Right? Bonin told him, look, we'll have Vern drive up and down Sunset Boulevard. That's where they had picked him up. And that way you know where you are the whole time. And so the kid agreed to it.
They're given some terrible choices. Do you want to be choked or hit? Do you want to do this or that? Sir, I would like to, again, pick C. None of the above.
I want to get the fuck out
I want you to let me out of this murder van.
So Vern starts driving up and down Sunset Boulevard, and Bonin and the kid get in the back and start doing whatever. Well, then Vern turned off Sunset Boulevard and said the boy jumped up immediately and wanted out of the car, but Bonin wouldn't let that happen. At first, he was like, you know what, I'll just tell him to get out, and he's not getting his money. And so he went through this back and forth with the kid and then convinced him to stay in the car. But after they got further off and started going out, the boy again jumped up and was like, no, I'm getting out. So he attempted to reach for the back handle, but Bonin had already rigged up the handles and stuff so you couldn't get out of the vehicle once you had gotten in. So there was no luck. So then Bonin and the kids started fighting. At one point, he has him half hog-tied. They're going back and forth. He ends up breaking one of the kids' arms. And he eventually managed to overpower him, get him all hog-tied. And, sorry, I got off track of my...
Pulling a Jen now.
I know. So...
You're just so excited about this story, right?
Right. So he gets him all hogtied, and then he's just doing what he wants. He's beating the boy. He's raping the boy. And Vernon Butts told him, you entered the death van, and when someone enters, they don't go out alive. You'll learn throughout it that Butts preferred psychological torture by telling them things like that. Well, he also did the physical torture, but he really liked to mess with their minds and tell them things like that.
That was his foreplay.
Yeah. Bonin told the boy they were going to beat him or strangle him into unconsciousness and drop him off somewhere. So he told the boy at this point, we're not going to kill you. We're just going to beat you or strangle you. And once you're unconscious, we're going to drive you somewhere and drop you off. And this seemed to somewhat calm him down and get him to become complicit in what they were doing.
That's when you need to start freaking out. If you are kidnapped and they start trying to say things that are going to calm you down, that's when you start really fucking Oberon Martell their fucking eyeballs. Poke their fucking eyeballs out.
Well, he's hogtied at this point, so he really can't do shit. Yeah.
Damn it.
Bonin then took the boy's shirt off and again put the tire iron in it and twisted it around his neck. Once he began to strangle him, he leaned in and whispered in his ear, sorry, kid, but I can't let you live to tell about this. Yeah. He said then the boy really started fighting, but obviously it was too late by that point. Butts got in the back of the van and did his thing while they drove to the final spot to dump the body. When they arrived, Bonin stabbed Donald in the neck, back, and scrotum to ensure he was dead. His body was found the next day by a construction worker. I know, he's a sick son of a bitch. Bonin had committed 4 murders in just 3 weeks. Robbery homicide detective Sergeant John P. St. John.
His mama
I know.
had a real sense of humor, didn't she?
I had to read his name 3 times because I was like, is my eyes blurring? Is his name John P. St. John?
The only way you can make that better is if there was a different pronunciation for the second John. It's John Sayon.
Right. So he became very alarmed. St. John had been investigating a series of murders classified as homosexually oriented since February of 1973. Bonin's murder spree seemed to be connected. Now, during these 6 years from the first victim to when Bonin started killing, over 20 homicides were deemed part of that series. St. John was tasked with monitoring these murders. The infamous and previously covered Randy Kraft was operating at this time as well. And if you remember, he committed crimes strikingly similar. And if you don't remember, feel free to go back. We did cover him, a 2-part series. And if you remember, he would stuff things up people's rectums. They were all boys.
Just memory lane, you know?
Right? The difference with their victims were primarily the age. Unlike Kraft, this is according to the book, unlike Kraft, Bonin didn't mutilate his victims nor use a belt to strangle them. That's correct. He didn't use a belt. But stuffing your hand up someone's rectum or stuffing a tree branch up their rectum or stabbing them in a frenzy, apparently that's not other people's definition of mutilate. It is Becky's.
I'm just saying it's not, you're not coming back from a tree trunk up the ass.
No. But Randy Kraft did do weird things when he would cut up their genitals and...
That's a weird fucking line, though.
Stuff socks up their ass.
Where's the line? It's like the PETA billboard where it's like horse, this, that, and then there's like a line, then it's cow, pig. Like, where's the line? I don't want to discuss about the line here and what makes it psychotic and what makes it not. I just don't want to participate in any of it. Okay?
None of it.
You keep your branches to yourself.
Oh, and then I said, obviously my idea is mutilate different than others because stuffing a fist and tree branch up someone's rectum isn't what I would consider normal behavior.
No.
At this time, the cops were so lost as to who was killing these boys. Besides the lack of forensics at the time, there were so many bodies all over the place, killed similarly, yet so different. So, you have Randy Kraft at this time, you have Bonin, and there was another killer at the same time that was also doing very similar crimes. So,
You never know. Like,
yeah.
So they caught somebody in Austin who supposedly is a serial killer and has been operating, they think, since the 90s. They already had a suspected serial killer who was dropping bodies in Lady Bird Lake in Austin. And I'm like, how crazy would it be, though, if they weren't the same killer? Because there's a good chance that they're probably not the same killer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because
fucking terrifying.
It is terrifying.
Does that mean, are you a serial killer?
Maybe.
Am I a serial killer?
Is Jimmy?
Talk about existential dread.
My money's on Jennifer.
I would be so messy.
That is true.
I don't know.
Maybe him and JJ are in cahoots.
Listen, watch them be like really, really sharp. Like on a scary movie when
Stop playing. You're gonna give me nightmares and I'm not gonna be able to let JJ sleep in my bed.
Ends
Stop
up being the bad guy. I don't like it. This is me not consenting.
This is what non-consensual is right here, y'all.
No means no.
Seriously, I'll be like sleeping with one eye open looking at him. Luckily, 5 nights a week I'm at work while he's sleeping.
He quietly slips on the Harry Potter robe.
Okay, see, now it's all a joke.
It'd only be better if like he had an alternate version of JJ where he's a Death Eater instead of a Gryffindor.
Do you think when I'm at work at night he puts his robe on and just like fancies himself around the house in it?
Oh my god! Oh no, wait, that would be the Expelliarmus.
So while
Wingardium Leviosa.
While still awaiting his upcoming court date on September 18th, Bonin didn't slow down his killings. On September 9th, Bonin and Butts would claim their fourth victim, David Murillo, as he was cycling to a movie theater. After entering the van, Bonin offered him money for sex, which he refused. He then attempted to fondle Murillo before binding him and driving him to Butts' residence. When they got to Butts' house, Butts had company over and was like, hey, yo, I can't come out and kill nobody right now. I'm busy.
I can't come out and play.
Yeah. And so Bonin told him well, at least come with me to the gas station because I need to fill up and I can't fill up while I got this guy tied up in the back and no one to watch him.
Logic, right?
Yeah. So Butts was like, okay, I got you. So they go to the van and then Bonin's like, look at him. He looks so good. And he's like, oh my God, he does. I'm going to go back and tell them that I have a magic show that I'm auditioning for so that we can go do this. I know.
If your plausible
ridiculous
alibi is a magic show audition, you need to reevaluate your life. You might as well say, I have a D&D audition.
Well, they like to play D&D too.
Oh, so. That's true.
Yeah.
We know how that D&D is, Jimmy. Mm-hmm.
So as Butts drove, Bonin forced the boy to orally copulate him before again squeezing his genitals and sodomizing him. He then traded place with Butts, who did the same thing, beat him, squeezed his genitals, performed oral sex. But he kept getting frustrated at the lack of sexual excitement. So they couldn't get him hard, which I
wonder why.
I know. They then parked the vehicle at a secluded spot where he was bound, repeatedly raped, and extensively bludgeoned about the chest, neck, and skull with a tire iron. He was then strangled with a ligature before his nude body was thrown out of the van and over an embankment into a bed of ivy alongside Highway 101. And Bonin said that he took the tire iron and put it across the kid's neck and looked at him and said, are you ready to die? And he said the kid just said yes. And I'm like, I'm sure at that point he was. He was like, just fucking kill me already.
Don't quit torturing me.
There was so many details about this one too, but I was like, okay, we're into the fourth one and I cannot go into as much details anymore. It's mentally killing me. While they beat and murdered this young man, they also told him during the process about all the previous murders they had done. So I'm sure he was just like, well, we know how this is going to go. And that's why when they said, are you ready to die? He was probably like, can we please just get it over with already? His new body was discovered on September 12th, 1979.
Just thrown away like used tires or something in
Yeah.
a dump. I think
Detective-
that's like another form of disrespect towards that victim. Just
Yeah,
leaving their body like, I've used everything up now. I'm done with you.
exactly.
Ugh.
Detective St. John now believed that the last 3 victims were all murdered by the same person, which they were. Communication and due process was much longer during this time, as all communication was via teletype machines, phone call, and exchange of paper files.
We would say,
I didn't know what a teletype machine was, and it talked about what it was in the book, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
what is a teletype machine?
So a teletype machine is a typewriter that's mounted on a wall and connected to phone lines, and they type up their message, and it transmits through the phone lines and then prints out on a piece of paper for whoever they're sending it
Like
to.
an electronic telegram.
Yeah. It's like almost like your first version, your very crude version of a text message, because they just typed it on a typewriter and then it transmitted it.
Getting on a
Texting before texting.
teletype. You up?
Hashtag murder. Hashtag boys. Hashtag deathbed. I don't know if they hashtagged back then or not. Yes.
Pound sign this, pound sign. Oh, that makes it even darker. Pound. Oh.
Following this last murder, Butts reportedly began exhibiting extremely bizarre behavior. At one point, putting an axe blade to a close friend, Ron Close's throat, and stating, "I'd like to see your blood gush out and hear your screams." Now, in very Jennifer and Becky fashion, they said that, so he's like, got this guy pinned up against the wall with a real axe blade, saying this to him, and the guy's just like, ugh. Ron Close walked over, picked up all of his belongings, quietly left, and never fucking went back.
I forgot I have to return a tape.
Blockbuster's been teletyping me that I need to get that movie back, so I gotta go.
It's the 2-part VHS special. It's very high demand. It's Titanic. If you know, you know.
On September 18th, 1979, Bonin appeared for his hearing regarding the August 9th arrest and parole revocation.
I don't do hand signal, boy. You just tell what
I know, no timer. I already noticed that. Was disappointed.
you mean. Oh, I don't. Why am I turning the TV on? Why am I using up my valuable fingers? I'm the talent. Damn it. See, Jimmy, there ain't a damn thing on there. Would you like the remote?
It's all right. After this section, that's the end of part 2 anyway.
I'm not trusting myself to throw it near all my preciouses. Okay?
And by preciouses, she's not referring to you.
No, I'm talking about my dead duck Quacker Jack. You better not cut any of this.
Tell me his name was Quacker Jack.
Yes. I didn't tell you that.
I didn't know that it was possible to love you even more than I do. But at this moment, you're the fucking hero of the day. I'm calling last podcast on the left. Jennifer's the hero of the day.
Thank you. Stop
She
it.
has a dead duck named Quacker Jack.
I also have one.
I want to pet him now. I feel like it's more personal.
I love it. I also have one where it's just the back end of a duck and it says butt quack.
So fucking stupid. I hate you and I love you. On September 18th, 1979. Okay, so Bonin goes to his parole hearing to see if he's going to get it revoked. Yep, they said, sorry, son. It's back to the pokey for you. So,
And not the kind you like.
no. So his parole is revoked and he is remanded into custody for a 6-month sentence. Then on October 15th, 1979, the parole hearing was surprisingly reversed, claiming, quote unquote, error in judgment led to a decision which is unreasonable in the view of the facts. So one of the reasons they had originally revoked his parole is when he was arrested for this sexual perversion, there was also weed in the car. You know, weed was big, bad, no back then. So that
was big time drugs, you know.
Yeah. So
that was the fentanyl of the day, you know.
So they took that into account when they reversed his parole, because that automatically made a parole violation. But the reversal stated that the weed was found in the passenger side of the car, so it was believed that the passenger hid it there and that Bonin didn't know about it. So he couldn't be penalized for that. Nowadays, it's in your car. Shows motherfucker. Bye. They don't care.
I knew cops that were like, if it was less than an ounce, they'd be like, dump that shit. I don't want the paperwork.
Right.
Just blend it in with the grass and get the fuck out of here.
The second part of the reversal was Bonin stating that the victim told him he was 18. So, he was arrested because he was underage. But Bonin says, no, man, he told me he was 18. And quote.
I mean, didn't they tell Chris Hansen all that, the same thing? Man, I didn't think she was 12. I thought she was 18 this whole time.
Wait till you hear what they said about it. This is direct quote. Said victim's physical appearance supported a reasonable belief of the minor's declaration that he was, in fact, of 18 years of age. So basically, they said, I mean, yeah, he looks like he's 18. We believe you that he said it.
Good thing that that's not the same feelings this to this day.
That's all I could think of.
Shit.
So basically, they were like, yeah, he looks 18. So we believe the victim lied to Bonin. Versus Bonin, an already previously convicted child predator and sexual deviant, he was telling the truth. So
there's like a whole series on, I can't remember what it's called. I'll have to Jim, you'll insert it here because everybody needs to watch this. It's about women who have accused people of rape and they end up going to jail for false reporting, even though it was true. The one girl, it was this guy who was super influential in her town. His family's very influential. They never once treated him like a suspect.
Oh, yeah.
But they treated her like, so why are you trying to ruin this man's life?
Jimmy's ridiculously short fun facts. It's called Victim/Suspect, and it's available on Netflix. It's pretty good.
Well, and that's an awesome segue, as you always do, into my next sentence.
Thank you.
All I have to say about this is fucking white men in the 80s or earlier getting away with fucking everything. And if you're rich, that just adds to it. Like you said, rich and white, you didn't fucking do it.
Looking at you, Murdaugh. Okay.
So Bonin was released on November 12th. Shout out to my birthday and the worst possible present ever. And our sweet, dear friend wasted no time in getting back to business, committing his second independent kill on November 14th. And that is where we'll end until we get into the second set of his murders, which I'm going to really not go as much into detail in because, to be quite honest, it's making me sick.
What was it like when you did the tourniquet killer? It was like that. You're like, after a while.
No, it was Randy Kraft. After
It was Randy Kraft.
Like,
after a while, I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore. It's the same trauma.
I think we all have the impression of the horrible things he does.
Nothing is good. Nothing good's happening.
And we still got a lot of victims to go.
We got 2 more episodes?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So the next one's going to cover some more victims and some more things that happen, and we'll wrap up the 4th with his arrest. And there's, spoiler alert, there's more accomplices that we haven't discussed yet that are coming into the mix.
Well, I like
there
this,
were
though,
multiple accomplices, and we haven't even got into them.
There are more. It's more likely, and this is not proven, that Gacy had possibly had accomplices.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Dean Corll, in the Candyman. He had accomplices that ended up killing him. So,
yep,
this is kind of getting to see it in a whole different light with much more information than before. I don't know. It's a unique point of view. I would say this is cool, but maybe not because, killers and all, but interesting. There we go.
Right. And
from a scholarly point, look at me. I'm scholarly.
Same. The book has been interesting to read because there's direct transcripts from the interviews and then his diary and his written confessions. And just kind of see the whole mind of the person and really understand it is, I say fascinating loosely, but it really helps, the people in the forensic sciences learn to better understand detectives, police officers, to better understand forensic profilers, all of that, to hopefully prevent things. So it is educational in a sense.
Everything has been look how DNA was handled after John Bonet's death and after O.J. Simpson's, getting off and everything. These things are horrible, but it has advanced, and God, it could probably stop a serial killer before they get too bad.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, please God. Well, Find us on the socials. Let us hear about your own true close to home stories. Let me hear. I want to know how many times you vomited thus far.
Yes. Rate us, review us, subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe, follow us, whatever.
Rating and reviews really help.
They do a huge bit. We can't thank you guys enough for all the subscribes and the the great ratings, even the bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm really loud. That's what one of them said.
And we cuss a lot.
We cuss a lot. I was kind of proud. I'm just saying.
I feel like we didn't cuss a lot during this one.
No, we didn't. We got really uncomfortable with our jokes, but I think it's
Yes.
because we're both going like,
Yeah, exactly.
Made this real uncomfortable. Like we said before, guys, we're not victim blaming. We're just trying to cope. This shit is fucking terrible, but it's educational, okay? The more you know.
And, it really is, hopefully you hear these things and it leads to conversations with your kids about safety and not doing this. If you ask my daughter, JJ said the other day, did Emma go out front? And I said, did Emma go out front? I said, Emma, come here. She comes around the corner. I said, did you go out front by yourself? And she said, no. And I said, and why don't we? And she goes, because someone would steal me and you would never know. And I was like, exactly. And then she turned around and walked out the back. JJ
She
just
is
looked
just
at me.
like Camilla. Camilla, we were in the store the other day. She's like, Mom, can I hold your hand? I don't want anyone to steal me. I was like, first of all, that mouth that take you right back. They said this fucking child's I don't way. I'm just kidding. I love her. Well, until next time, guys.
Stay safe.
Keep your head on a swivel.
And don't bring it too close to home. And I got nothing to add there because I'm deeply disturbed.
Very.
From these last 2 episodes.
You're welcome.
Oh, FYI, the next we're gonna break this one up with a little mind bleach before we finish the next 2 episodes because I'm sure you guys need as much mind bleach as we do right now.
There's not enough in the world.
There's not.
Bye. If you enjoyed this episode of Too Close to Home, don't forget to rate and subscribe to us on most platforms. Follow us on our social media at Too Close Home Pod on Facebook, at Too Close Podcast on Instagram, or if you have your own Too Close to Home experience, shoot us your story at tooclosetohome@yahoo.com. Thanks for listening.